And a good Wednesday morning to you. Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video is driven by 802cars.com, representing 802 Toyota, Twin Cities Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. On this Wednesday midday, this is earlier this morning, looking at some of the fog interplay with the post-occluded frontal system having moved on out, starting to get into some clearing skies earlier this morning. And you can see a lot of interesting dynamics with certain flows and a lot of valley fog and sort of interplay with some of the mixing of the temperatures. And this is the occluded frontal boundary just aforementioned. And Vermont seeing just a little bit of cloud cover, and we'll see partly sunny skies the rest of today. Actually decent project weather from this time out. There could be a couple sprinkles. I don't think it's going to bother too many things. This is the occluded front having moved off to the east. We still have this big gyre up here, and this is pushing in a kind of a westerly flow. Some of the winds are a little stronger toward the Great Lakes. These are going to be working their way eastward later this afternoon, but nothing major. This is the upper level system that's south or west of James Bay, south of Hudson Bay, and the surface low as well. And this is pushing actually to the north and kind of weakening, allowing for high pressure to build across the region, especially to the south and west across the Ohio Valley. That's what's going to be the controlling influence for a short period of time until some weak weather systems kind of streak along in a kind of a west to east zonal flow. That's going to be taking place mostly near the Canadian border starting tomorrow afternoon. Okay, looking at the European model, and so this is earlier this morning at about 12Z, 8 o'clock this morning. This is our rain that had moved on out. This is the area of low pressure, and you can see the 540 thickness, 5,400 meter thickness. Anything in the blue there and north is generally cold enough to see a little bit of snow, and at least in the higher terrain. South of that point, all rain. And of course, we're looking at rain still in this particular area here, wrapping around this large gyre that's heading north into Hudson Bay. So as we run the computer models, this is how it shakes out. These are 3-hour increments. This is the rest of today. You can see that weather system move on out. Area of higher pressure expands about 1026 hectopascals over the Carolinas, Virginia, and then kind of ridges north just a bit. This is valid about 18Z, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. On Thursday, you can see just a little tiny bit of rainfall to the west of Vermont, working in from Lake Ontario, St. Lawrence River Valley, and continuing to just kind of work across northern parts of Vermont. No real issues there. And then kind of another weak area of higher pressure builds in. And then yet another streak that works on across the region, across mainly central and southern parts of Vermont. That's going to take place, it looks like, late in the day on on Friday, and then into Friday night. And then on Saturday, that exits out of the region, and another weak area of higher pressure builds in. Nothing real major there. And looking at cloud cover, kind of see that dry slot. Weak little streaker coming across. Another one coming across, and then we get into, as we get into Saturday, start to see a little bit of a flow there that allows for a little bit of clearing before the next weather system moves on in. That's going to take place on Sunday. And that's when we can see some gradient winds, some southeasterly winds along the spine of the Green Mountains, downsloping a bit on the western slopes. At this point in time, it looks like 35 to 45 mile per hour gusts. Nothing real major. Then the weather system moves on out, and a little bit of lingering rain shower activity headed for Monday. Precipitable water. It looks like this. That's our weather system that's moved on out. Drier air begins to move into the region, and it's kind of moderates. Next round, heading up in the Gulf coastal region, and that's going to be starting to push into the region. This is what's going to arrive on Sunday. But our neck of the woods, at least the middle Atlantic states, it looks like it's much more potent. Further up to the north, not so much. Total QPF from the Weather Prediction Center for the next 7 days shows that we're around 1 inch mark here in the blue, and this is a ½ inch mark. So we're not looking at a terrible amount of precipitation. The European model indicates the precipitation anomalies for the next 5 days anyway will be a little bit less than normal across northern Vermont and slightly above normal across southern parts of Vermont. Overall, nothing terrific. In terms of temperature, we're running about 3 to 6 degrees above normal for this time of year, and that's going to be lowered. So about 3 days, these are daytime high temperatures. And about 3 days later, you can see we're closer to neutral, about 0, weighted. And you can see a mighty impressive cold shot is going to be coming into the western U.S. It may be pumping up another ridge of higher pressure and producing actually warmer conditions after this period. Check on the climate analyzer, looking at the 2-meter temperature anomalies. You can see that we're above normal across a wide area of the Arctic, well above normal here by some 10 degrees centigrade. That's fairly significant. Same thing here. It's cooled off a little bit in Greenland, but this has promoted slightly cooler air to drop in, although it's nothing of any major sort at this point. Tropics are still just a tiny bit active. We're seeing a possibility here of a 30% chance of a cyclone over the next 5 days as a weak disturbance works into the across the lower Yucatan and works into the Gulf of Mexico. If this does get active, this could be taking a track something like Nestor and then out to sea, something like this. And a quick look at the antecedent conditions. You can see that over the from the month to date for the month of October and then the last 30 days, we've been running above normal. This is centered on Washington County, and if you go back 60 days, it's close to normal, and you can see generally a little bit above normal going back for the year to date, 365 days, and so forth. And looking at the other counties, you can see that they're not too far different. A little different look in Bennington County in the far southern part of Vermont. And looking at, say, Caledonia County, very similar to Washington County. Chittenden County, a little bit of a different look, but pretty close to what we've been seeing here with overall precipitation running above normal going into last year. Roger Hill at Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.